It's me here again with another update on what's happening with us and what's happening with Thailand. It was another tumultuous day here yesterday, I'm afraid, but when I last spoke to you, I'd fallen out with the hairdresser over not wearing a mask, and net result is I had to then go to the other branch of the same hairdresser, and I did find a guy who wore a mask and cut my hair. I know you're going to say there's no hair to cut, but needs must. And that was all fine, and about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon everything started to wind down here. The shops began to shut, the restaurants began to shut, and if you know anything about Thailand you will know how important the restaurants are to here, because everybody eats out, everybody eats from the food carts, they eat on the street. There is not that much home cooking because it's so cheap and it's so good. So that was a big change, and the mood began to change. In the evening we decided we'd cycle down to the night bazaar, which is the major tourist area of the town. Usually there will be tens if not hundreds of thousands of people milling about. It was absolutely deserted. I think I counted about 10 tourists in the whole place. Many of the stalls had already actually packed in and gone home, but some were trying to sell on what was probably the last chance they'll have. We then went to a restaurant we normally go to, which had converted itself into a takeaway. She's really enterprising, the owner. She'd put up a huge sign with a new COVID-19 menu, which was half the price of a normal menu, which is spectacularly cheap at the best of times. But we brought some takeaway food home for 75p, and we tried to, as much as possible, avoid the news and try and go to bed at a normal time, and not drink too much whiskey, but that was the difficult bit for me. So we did that, and I was just brushing my teeth when Richard shouted from the bedroom, "Our flight's been cancelled." And actually, to begin with, I thought he was joking, but I came into the bedroom and realised he wasn't, and the EasyJet flight from London to Nice, which we were due to get on Thursday, was cancelled, and they said we could rebook, which I thought was a bit of a sick joke, because I imagined that what they'd done is cancel all the flights to France. We then went on the website, on the app, and bizarrely discovered that it seems they'd cancelled the flight because I guess they didn't have any customers, operational reasons, and yet there was still a flight going on the Sunday. So we quickly switched and booked for that, though I think in our heart of hearts we kind of thought it was probably a signal that this is not going to work out now, because I can't imagine we'll get there, but who knows. And we then went to bed, sort of accepting that the best we could hope for was to get back to London. 4 o'clock my prostate kicked in and I got up for a pee, and of course couldn't resist looking at the news, and then discovered that quite rightly and finally Boris had put Britain into lockdown, or whatever that phrase means, but obviously you know back there what it means. So it was another kind of sleepless night, wondering how that would impact us if we could get back, etc. This morning we got up, tried to carry on as normal. We went to the park, and the mood has shifted here considerably. You could sense it because everything was closed, but you could also sense it in the faces of the people in the park. They're usually carefree, there's usually a sort of love of life about Chiang Mai, and it wasn't there at all. There was a seriousness, I think there was a fear. Whether that fear was me projecting it onto them, I don't know. Um, Interestingly, I read a letter which had been written by one of the top businessmen in Thailand to the Prime Minister, pleading for the Prime Minister to initiate a lockdown. Now, if you know anything about Thai politics, you'll know that that is a very unusual step. This is not a country that functions as other democracies do. It's not really a democracy in that sense. I then read another piece about how the government are going to attempt to carry people through the period without work, etc. And it appears they're going to give them 2,000 baht per month, which is £50. But then speaking to Thai friends, they said yes, but very many of those people will never get the £50 because you have to apply, you have to register, etc., etc. It will be monstrously difficult. And I said to him, what are they going to do? How are people going to survive? And he said, instant noodles are only 5 baht. And I kind of thought, are you joking? And he wasn't. He said, instant noodles are the way that the Thais have always survived in times of crisis. So, however difficult and your situation is, I guess you realise that there are always people who are going to suffer a lot more. But I definitely think that people here are beginning to realise the severity of this situation. Just now we were in our coffee shop with our friends. Obviously the coffee shop's closed, but we'd gone round the back to see them, and the friend's mum came in, and we put our masks on, and she thought we were, she thought we were scared of her, and of course we said, we're trying not to affect you, and etc., etc. And the same difficulties with parents and etc. are going on in Thailand as they are back home in Britain. Then 11 a.m. this morning, we suddenly realised we hadn't checked in for the flight, because it's a BA flight, so you can only check in 24 hours before departure. So we went on the app and see if I get killed crossing the road, and suddenly discovered we couldn't check in on the BA app, which was very strange. Of course our hearts sank, and suddenly we thought, that's it, they've pulled all the flights. We then had an idea, and we went on the Qatar app, because actually it's a BA flight but we've been carried by Qatar, and we were able to check in. And of course, it sounds horrible, but the check-in, you were desperately trying to sit as far apart from any other people who've checked in so far, and then you sort of pray that no more check-in. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, we went to a chemist yesterday and we bought rubber gloves and sterilising sprays and masks. I mean, you feel completely ridiculous. I've always been somebody who's mocked people who walked around with hand sanitizer and thought it was completely anal. And suddenly you're one of those people doing it. So that's the situation. I if I'm honest, I don't feel any great. I don't know. I do not know even if we're making the right decision. The situation is without shadow of a doubt deteriorating here, and if it deteriorates as badly as it's done in Europe, then we clearly are making the right decision in terms of ourselves. But right now, the idea of flying back into London, which is the epicentre of the British outbreak, flying back into Europe, which feels right now like a plague-ridden continent, is crazy unappetising. And you walk around these streets, and I say the mood has changed, but as you can see behind me, and life is just going on. It's calm. There's a lot of open air. You can avoid people. It's not a confined space. We're not going to get back. We're not going to have to get on the tube in the way that we're going to have to do when we get to London. But you have to play the hand you're dealt, and that's where we are. It's funny, earlier I was reading about Mr. Trump and trying to get business going in America, and I again and more or less saying that if you know, people have to be sacrificed, and I was reminded of something that dear old Quentin Chris said, which was, he said, in America everyone is your friend, but once you are unproductive you will occupy a cardboard box on the corner of a street where once you occupied a mansion. And it seems to be true. Let's hope the lockdown in Britain, let's hope it works and we can get through this thing with as fewer deaths as possible. It'll be immensely sad to leave Chiang Mai tomorrow. I adore Chiang Mai. We've got so many friends here. It feels like a second home. It's not it is a place we come on holiday, but we've been here 2 months. And I can't, yesterday I went and got my shorts mended, and a pocket of my shorts mended, and the little sewing lady just did it in front of me out of her front door, and sewed the pocket up, and it was 20 baht, which is 50 pence, and she's old, and I had to sort of walk away, so I thought, I just hope she's here next year, and I hope the Thais can do what they need to do and get through this as the rest of us. We shall prevail. I'll try and let you know tomorrow what happens. I'll try and vlog from the airport, and hopefully we get on the flight. But good luck to everyone in Britain. We're coming at you.